Hello, welcome to Jade Coloring. My name is Liz. Today I'm working on a page in the mythographic Dragonspell book. It's a book by Joseph Kattenbang, and I just love this page. I thought the mouse warrior and the cat dragon were so cute, and I just felt like they would be a lot of fun to color. This is videos that I'm trying to do where it encourages me to color my first fully completed page in a book that doesn't have one already. So, but yeah, that's what I'm doing today. I'm working in this book. I decided that it's a missed opportunity to not use my alcohol markers in the mythographic books since they are single-sided. So I am trying to incorporate those in this page also, and then just going over top those with my Prisma colored pencils. But yeah, let's get to coloring. I got a couple alcohol markers I'm using for the flowers, and it's just strong red and apricot, and these are Copic sketch markers, and I don't know, I just thought the red flowers would be really pretty. I don't do red flowers a lot. I usually go for like pinks and purples a lot, so I thought it would be fun to try out something different. And I'm just really kind of adding this down on the flowers. I already did this one, and so I'm just kind of going in with that and adding this red color on the petals, and then the orange color for the center part of the flower. But this is going to be my video I do for working on my first page video. And so this will be my first finished page in the Dragonspell book, which I haven't had very long, but you know, sometimes you gotta kind of start while, you know, you're really interested in coloring a certain page. That way, more than likely I'll finish it that way. Hope everyone's doing really good. Having a good beginning of the month. I'm sure by the time I'm done with this, it will be almost the end of the month. But I thought, I don't usually reach from alcohol markers for these books, but then I forget that they have nothing on the back of them for some reason. So I'm going to try to use those in here, at least for certain elements. See how I like it. I probably mentioned before in one of my last videos that I colored in that I am trying to use my alcohol markers more because I don't want them to dry up before I get to use them, so I'm making an extra effort with those. I should be working on a mermaid page, but I don't know. I just kept thinking about this one. I've been working on, I wanted to start on this one, and I've also been working on a Dark Fairy Tales page in Kirby Rosanna's book, newest book. And I'm doing the first page, I think, in that book, which is the Rapunzel page. And I'm having a lot of fun working on that. I can't wait to show that to y'all. I never try shading with the alcohol marker, but maybe I'll try going in with this upside down dark red and seeing how I like kind of adding a little bit of, whoa, that really is dark red. Just like the tiniest bit of shadow. It's a pretty strong color though. But you know, it'll work out when I go over it with the pencils. I think I just might leave it like it is. I missed a spot. It looks a little bit better after I went over it with the red marker. I went with strong red. And I have to be careful because these are kind of bigger, you know, than the paper I have behind it. So I don't want to make a mistake and think I have something underneath it and actually I'm bleeding through on the next page. I can't wait to do the cat's eyes. I'm thinking I'm gonna do them purple. That'd be cool if I could do it almost like galaxy color eyes. I'm gonna have to do some research on that. That's something that I can't just jump into without looking at some reference. I am a gal that needs a reference photo sometimes. Hopefully I'm not bleeding outside the lines too much. Okay, we'll go with rose red for the smaller flowers and kind of start those. It would be cool. Okay, I'm not gonna get fancy. We're just gonna go in, well, if I get the right end of it open. Okay, and I was saying, so I don't know if I'm sure by the time this video is released I will have made a decision, but I can't decide if I want to do one big video or if multiple parts would be kind of fun, just kind of me like coloring for an hour and then posting that and then posting the next one like the next week. I don't know. It would probably be a lot of videos though. That is a lot more red than I thought it would be. More red than pink. I mean, to be fair to the marker, it does say rose red. It doesn't say rose pink. But I don't know. I go back and forth with how I want to film. But I'm thinking if I just stay consistent and keep at it, that maybe I will find kind of what works best for me. And I think that's what I've been missing, was that inconsistency. So I'm gonna try to be consistent and really, you know, get some videos made for y'all. I'm having a lot of fun. There's just been a little bit of hang-ups as far as editing and stuff and storage with that. Probably too much information, but anyway, I'm working on it. I'm getting there. Here's another little flower. And I can't tell, like, is that gonna be rope, like regular rope, or is that gonna be like some fancy yarn? Should I make that like a fancy color yarn? Like gold, maybe? Because I feel like for it to be like an epic mouse and cat dragon team, the yarn might need to be like a cool color, like gold. I wish I had some kind of metallic gold color to paint that with, so it would be shimmery. But I don't know if I have a gold color paint. I might test out a few paints to see what they look like when they're dry. So I don't want to take away from the picture. Okay, so I think we got all the little flowers. I guess I'll go ahead and go over the leaves. Goodness, I couldn't think of the word. Now, what kind I want to go with kind of a muted color, I think. So let's push that over to the side. Let's test this out, this willow color. I love a marker that's got a pretty name. It is pretty soft and muted. And then deep olive green. That's nice too. Not a lot of greens going on. I feel like the greens are getting pretty dry. I'm gonna go in there with olive. So this is my Master's Touch alcohol marker, and I'm going in with deep olive green. Yeah, it probably wasn't even in the frame there. And I'm gonna start with this. Just kind of covering up the leaf with that. Ooh, there's a little moss too. I like moss. It's fun to color. I like coloring moss more than I like coloring grass. I'm not good with grass. Yeah, I think that kind of goes good with the red color of the flowers. Okay, got some over here. There's a lot of leaves. I'm going to be touching up with the color pencils, so I'm not too worried about how well it looks. Okay, I think it's also a leaf. Sorry, it's a serious concentration. I'm trying not to go outside that line there. Okay, I got some browns picked out. Beige. I got peach beige. And then 50% French gray. And then dark brown. I'm gonna see how this works. See if, like, you know, I like how everything's going. I thought about doing a little gray mouse, but I just like little, like, brown toned mice, you know. So I'm gonna start, I think, well, let me see. I spared y'all with my, I think it took me like 5 minutes to figure out what colors I wanted to pick for our little mouse, but I'm gonna go in with the lightest color. Let me see which color that would be. Beige. And then also we have, no wait, that was putty beige. And then we have like regular beige. I think I'll go in with the regular beige. Just start kind of laying that down. Just getting a nice even layer. His mouse is so cute. I would love a whole book where he did nothing but like little characters, almost like Mouse Guard. I don't remember much about it, but I remember a series that was like animals, like a fantasy book, and I think it was called Redwall. I don't remember anything hardly about it, but I know there was a little mouse in there named, actually I don't remember his name, but he was a little warrior mouse. And anyway, it reminds me of that a little bit. I'm gonna start trying to figure out where I want my darker area to be. So I'm gonna go in with the dark brown, and he kind of gives you the impression it's kind of short hair strokes, so I'm kind of, taking it in small sections, and I need to give it another little sharpen. I thought I sharpened it, but I guess I missed one. That was loud. I've been going really back and forth between different sharpeners lately, so anyway, I've been picking a lot of different sharpeners to use. This is a 50% French gray. I'm really just trying to get an idea of like the layout of the fur. I feel like these strands that are almost like sticking out around his face could almost be treated like real hair, like, not real hair, but like a woman's hair or something, like a man's hair, a human hair head. And that's how I'm going to approach them, like I normally would. And then lastly, going in with beige, just something like that. So some of them, I'm going to keep kind of darker. Back to the sharpener. Every time I use that sharpener, it's like the doll 133, the one with like the little handle. It just brings me back to elementary school. Getting up in the front of the class and going to the sharpener on the wall. And then going in with French gray, adding that into the mix, and then lightly going over it with the just beige. I'm kind of just starting with like light layers, and I hope y'all can see, but starting out with light layers, then I plan on building it up a little more with the dark brown and the French gray as I go. And I'm kind of just, doing a little bit here and a little bit there until I like the way it looks. And hopefully I do the little mouse justice. Ah, so clumsy. And peach. Oh, peach. I haven't used the peach beige too much yet. This is just beige. Watch y'all in a little closer. I've been trying to make it like an effort to actually show y'all what I'm doing. Is that too bright? I feel like it is. I don't know. I make it up as I go. Okay, so I got like the little bit of his fur going here. I tried to leave like a little bit of a highlight in the center. And so I'm gonna start with his mouth fur, giving like tiny little strands here. Well, I guess that's his chin. Coloring and talking doesn't go together sometimes. That's too much thinking. And I think later on, when I get a little bit more of the detail done, I'll be putting like more hair like strokes down there at the bottom. This is 50%. French gray. Sorry for the pause. And then let's try a little bit of the peach beige. And then just regular beige. And as I progress, I get a little bit more confident, but I can always go back and touch up. That's usually what I do. This is dark brown, by the way. You could probably, hopefully tell, I don't know. And then this is French gray, 50%. Trying to kind of go in a like haphazard fashion, I guess, kind of picking different directions randomly. I'm probably not doing a very successful job at it. I have a habit of just sticking to like one direction when I try to mix it up, but then I mean like kind of making it look a little bit scraggly, like, I don't know, kind of more not so straight, I guess. Sometimes it takes me a minute to get to that point though, where I'm kind of getting into the rhythm of, you know, what I'm doing. I guess sometimes you just need a little bit of practice before you start, but I just kind of jump in, so try to fix what I do later. And then that was 50% French gray, and then this is beige. And I wanted him to be kind of tannish color, not too brown. So that's what I'm trying to go for. So hopefully it's looking good, I hope. Okay, so just continuing on. I feel like I should name him, but I don't know what to name him. Maybe I'll think about it. So, you know, the way, you know, he's drawn the texture with the line art, you can kind of see like here the direction like of the fur. So I'm trying to have that clue me in of what direction it's going, and then, you know, it's helping me out a lot. So sometimes if I kind of loosen up on like the pencil to have a little less control when I'm doing the fur, it does help make it not be so even. Okay, that was dark brown. Now I'm going in with 50% French gray. It's a fairly new set of Prisma colors, but this one's already has the name practically gone. It's a bit of a bummer. And I'm just kind of adding this to where I left off with the dark brown. And then going back in with the beige. There's always at least one color that I grab that I don't really use that much. I don't know, I guess I'm like, it's a fallback, you know, if I don't like how it's going, this color might magically make it better. I'm just very lightly going over it with the beige. Okay, let's start around the oh my goodness, the ear a little bit and see how that goes. So I'm going to go in with the dark brown and kind of outline around the top of the ear. It looks like he's got a lot of like hair, you know, going up into his ear. So I'm going to start adding that kind of around the bottom part of the ear. And it's just kind of a start. I'll touch it up later, and I don't know quite yet what color I'm going to use for like the inside of the ear. We're just starting with that. I'm going to start here. And then 50% French gray. And then beige. I'm still debating on whether or not I want to do his armor, like the armored plates, like silver, gold. Those are usually the ones I go to. Every once in a while I use like black and then kind of go from there. But you could do that with any color really. Red. Already got quite a bit of red going on the page. Purple. Blue would be pretty too. But I don't know. Still an ongoing debate what color that will end up being. Going in with the 50% French gray after the dark brown. I kind of added a little bit of that to the ear, but I don't know if it was necessary. And then beige on top of that. Also added that into the ear too. It's a very hairy looking ear, so I'm trying to get it figured out. I guess I'll go back over a little bit of that and then maybe back in with the French gray, 50%. And then maybe beige. Over top of that. Just kind of a starting point. I might have to do some touching up with that one for the top of the ear. And then French gray. Beige. Okay. Brought you up really close and personal because I feel like when I was watching the footage, it was really hard to tell what I was doing. So I thought I'd do some of this section with you up this close, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Kind of see here. Okay, so I'm going in with dark brown, and I'm just kind of working my way toward this area with the fur. So just kind of adding those haphazard little short dark brown hair or fur flicks. Then I'm going in with 50% French gray and just kind of adding to what I already, what I just did with the dark brown. Now, just so y'all know, I don't know much about doing fur, so this is just my kind of sort of strategy that I have adopted from doing it a little bit more lately. Is it right? I don't know. It works okay. But I'm just, I'm having fun figuring it out, so. And then finally I'm going in with the beige, just kind of going over top everything I just did, focusing mainly in the center of it all, where I've kind of left these clear patches for the highlight section. Then of course I'll go in later and probably add a little bit more hair-like texture. But so far I'm really liking the way it's looking. I don't think it's too bad. It's definitely a start in the right direction. And so we're going to do a little bit of the longer bits of the hair. So I'm going to go in with dark brown first. And kind of start, you know, I approach, like I said, these sections, they're longer strands. So I approach them almost like I would if I was doing a portrait with hair. So that's doing the dark, like mapping out my section with the dark brown. And then I'm going in with my kind of transition color, which is 50% French gray. And it doesn't take much really to kind of do that. And then I'm going to go in with the beige in the center. And that's pretty much all I'm going to do to these longer strands of fur. And then of course, you know, sometimes like here, he's got several layers of it, so underneath what we just did is going to be a little bit darker than most of the fur, so making that a little darker. Just kind of where they overlap, create a little bit more of a shadow in those areas, and then 50% French gray. Excuse me. And then going in with beige for the highlight. Okay, so I just kind of figure out which direction it's going and start from there. Sometimes you can bring the darker color down like further to kind of create that separation of the fur. And then French gray. And then beige. Create a little bit of like a darker shadow underneath this hair. And then kind of underneath the helmet here. I don't know what I called that earlier. I think I called it, I don't know if I called it a face mask or what. Or maybe it's headpiece. I don't know. I guess it's a helmet though. And we got French gray. and then beige. Okay, so now I'm going to do the rest of his fur off camera, but I felt like I needed to bring y'all in a little bit closer. I mean, it's by no means like a perfect way to do fur, but it's how I've been doing fur lately, and I've been pretty happy with the outcome. I think he's looking pretty cute, if I say so myself, but I'm just having fun. I love it when, you know, I'm coloring something that I'm excited about. But yeah, I'm gonna get the rest of his body done, and then we'll kind of move on to his armor, which I'm super excited about doing. So next I want to start working on the mouse armor, and I finished all his fur, and then I kind of messed around with a few purple and pinkish colors for, it looks like he kind of has like a stone in the headpiece of his, or the mouse's armor. So I'm kind of just leaving that like it is right now, and then I'm going to go in and kind of make it look a little bit more like a stone, I guess, later on. But I thought I always go for like a gold color armor or a silver most of the time, so I wanted to go in with black and indigo blue and violet blue, and then using the white Prisma to kind of make everything look a little bit shiny like metal. And so that's what I'm going to attempt today and see how it goes. So I think I'm just going to start with the headpiece and starting with the darkest color, which is black, and just kind of jumping in. Hopefully it'll turn out. And a little bit of indigo. And then maybe, yeah, go in with violet blue and leaving like a space that is kind of clear, like, or, you know, doesn't have anything, to kind of get that glint of metal effect. And then just going back in with the black to kind of touch up around the edges, sharpen it up a little. Okay, and then gonna go in with white, where I kind of left the tiny bit of white of the paper showing, and go over that. And hopefully the blue kind of shows through. Kind of like that. I think it, you know, it's working. And then going in with the black color. Basically, I'm just kind of outlining the shape of the armor. Indigo. And violet, blue. And then finally white. And then just kind of repeating the process with the black, the violet blue, and the indigo. And then going over top of it with the white until I kind of get it kind of how I like it. I think for this part underneath, I'm going to go in with more black color than any of the others. And that way it kind of, it looks like it's kind of lower, I guess, than the other colors. A little bit more shaded. And then just going over it slightly with the white. But I'm liking how it's looking. I think it's looking pretty good. I go over it just a little bit lighter than I have been. Okay, so I'm going to take a break from that part, and I kind of want to work on these panels here on this side. I definitely did not realize when I was doing the rest of the mouse, like coloring his fur, I could obviously tell that he was wearing kind of like fabric pants, but for some reason I couldn't tell that he was wearing a shirt underneath his armor. I was thinking his arms looked really like ropey and weird, and it was because it was fabric. So I wasn't probably supposed to color his arms fur colored, but I mean, nothing I could do about it now, but it's kind of funny because it definitely, after I did it, and even while I was doing it, I was like, why is he just really weirdly muscly? But no, it was because it was fabric, I'm pretty sure. But oh well, it kind of looks like, I mean, you probably really have to look closely to see that. So I want the panels to be pretty much the same, but I want to go in with like brighter purples, I think, to really bring out a little bit of different colors. But I think for like this part that kind of goes around the panels is going to be kind of dark, like his headpiece there. So I'm just going to start with, well, let me get the right color. I'm going to start with black and just kind of framing that out. Okay, so then I'm gonna go in with indigo blue. And then add a little touch of the violet blue. And then just very lightly go over it with the white. Okay, so then I'm going to start working on the panels, like the inside parts, and kind of seeing, I think I want to go in with the black and kind of start building up the darker areas with that. And then maybe I'm gonna skip the indigo blue and go in with violet blue. And then go in with Parma violet. And finally, I know it's a lot of colors, I'm going in with lavender, just kind of in the center. But I want his armor to be kind of mystical, you know, and kind of different. I think I'm going to do a little bit of touching up with the black, kind of around the edges. Maybe a little bit more with the blue violet. Just till I kind of get the kind of effect I'm looking for. And then going back in with lavender. Oop, sorry. I forget that I had y'all kind of in closely. So totally whacked the light with the brush. Okay, so I like that, but I want it to be just a little bit more blended. So I'm going to go in with the white Prisma. Just kind of blending out that center. And then I think I'm going to go back in again with the lavender. No, maybe should have left well enough alone with how I had it, but it still looks pretty good, so. It's fine. Do a little bit of touching up with the black. I like that. I think it's looking really cool. But yeah, I'm just kind of alternating with these purple colors to kind of play around with the different kind of variations you can get with using these for the armor. And going in with indigo blue. Then violet blue. Then maybe tiny hint of lavender around the edge of where I want the highlight to be. And take the white kind of in the center. I think it's looking good. I like it. It's a small area to work on around this part here. I'm just trying to do the best I can. And of course I'll have to do some touching up when it's all done. But I'm liking how the armor's coming along. I need to figure out what to do with kind of the fabric parts of his armor, but I don't know. I'm kind of struggling a little bit with what color to pick for that. I mean, I am going in with a lot of purple colors, so don't want to overdo it. I don't know. I'll have to think on that one, but I might go ahead and finish the armor, and then so that way maybe and kind of be easier to tell what's going to look good with the completed armor. But yeah, I'm going to work on that, and then I'll hop back on here and we'll work on the next thing. Okay, I have all the armor done, and now I'm going to be working on his clothes. I already kind of started to play around with some colors. I wanted it to be not too distracting and kind of blend in with his armor. So I'm going in with a bluish gray kind of colors, but I still haven't decided what I want to do with like this band of fabric here at the bottom of this hanging down part here. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to keep it pretty simple with the colors I chose from the Prisma colors. It's periwinkle, and then blue slate, and then 20% cool gray. And then I'm just going to go in and blend all these together with a little bit of a white Prisma. That's pretty much my plan. I don't usually work with the lightest color first, but I'm going to go in with the 20% cool gray and just kind of do a nice layer of this going up and down in one direction over the fabric here. I think the little mouse warrior is actually looking really cool. I'm excited to progress in this page. I thought it was funny because I was editing and I realized earlier on in the video I called this yarn. And I'm pretty sure it is a bind of some sort. I don't know, I guess I just have yarn on the brain. I have been knitting a lot, so it's very possible. And I've also been reading murder mysteries, like the cozy kind. and the characters knit, and so yeah, I just immediately seen that and didn't question it. I was just like, that's yarn. That makes so much sense in the middle of a forest. But you know, like, you kind of get in that mindset with these mythographic books that they are kind of different. They got a lot of different things going on, but they don't do that as much anymore as far as like the hidden objects and stuff. But yeah, it was pretty funny. I'm probably definitely gonna color them like their vines because it is a forest that they're cutting their way through. But this is periwinkle, which is the darkest of the colors I'm working with. I'm kind of adding that into these really shaded looking areas here. Just kind of building up the colors, mapping out like where I want the darker color to be. And you know, like with the line art, like it gives you a clue kind of where the fabric folds across there, so you can really kind of tell that you want your darker color to be along where those the line art's a little bit thicker there. Just kind of playing around with it as I go until I kind of like how it's working. Okay, so then I do need to give this a sharpen. I thought I sharpened them all. Sorry, before I started. Okay. Blue slate is the next color I'm gonna grab and just kind of start building up those colors. But I didn't want the, almost had like a avalanche of pencils fall onto the floor. I didn't want the fabric to take away from his armor. So that's why I went with a little bit of a lighter color to get that contrast also. A little bit more, 20% French gray. Oh gosh, cool gray. I've been using the French gray like pretty hard lately, so I guess I just assumed that's what I was doing now. Add that to the pants. Oh, I almost did the pants here a different color than the drop down cloth there. I don't know what you call that, but the fringy bit. And I decided I liked the idea of them being the same color. And that is not because I'm being lazy and don't want to figure out what color to do. Thank goodness I didn't color his legs like fur like I did his arms. Sometimes that's what happens when you're coloring really late at night. Okay, so I'm just, again, building up some of the color with the periwinkle. This is one of my favorite Prisma colors. Such a nice blue, grayish, purpley color almost. Blue slate. I just felt like this was pretty far hidden over here, so I want it to be a little bit darker. I do the same thing pretty much with the pants here. Just kind of start with the periwinkle. Having a little trouble. I don't think I'm a fan of starting with the lightest color. I don't know why I try to mix it up. Like there's, you know, I'm just trying to have fun with coloring. I don't really have to make it too complicated, but I tend to do that. I mean, it's okay, but I just noticed a little bit more resistance with my layers having the gray down first. And blue slate. And then white over top of that. And that's pretty much the process I'm gonna do for the pants. I started the background a little bit and I finished, I think I got most of the leaves. I might have missed a few kind of up in the corner here, but I'll bring y'all out. But I went in with the alcohol markers. I used like 3 different colors. I originally had planned on doing a black Posca background of some sort, but I had to get ambitious and I used these shades of green, kind of like it was a, you know, they're in a forest, so I kind of wanted it to be different depths of greens kind of fading. And since this is kind of, you know, the center-ish of the page there for the background, I was going in with a light green. I think this is one of those times where I felt confident at the start, but don't know what I'm doing. And so, I don't know. I hope it works out, but this is, you know, very kind of last minute idea for some reason that I had. As far as his ears, I'm going in with a seashell pink and light peach, and I just kind of started around kind of the edge of his ears here. and it's kind of the darker color. It kind of looks similar to his light brown that I have. I kind of worked on it already there. I plan on going back in and touching up with fur, but for now I'm just kind of putting these base colors down. That was a seashell pink, and then going over in the center and around the where I left off with the seashell pink with the light peach. And I think that's all I plan on doing for that one. So taking the violet blue, yeah, I like that. It kind of ties it all together a little bit better than if I went with something else. I don't know why I'm trying to make this work because it's broken, so I can actually get into the tiny areas there. Lavender, and just go over that. Real simple. I'm really tempted to put lavender in the fabric there, but I'm not going to do it. I'll leave it alone. Okay, we're going to start on the scissor sword. It's just like 1/2 of, I guess, scissors, which is actually pretty cool. But basically, I'm going to go for a silver and kind of metal look, but I think I'm going to go with the cool grays for this. A lot of the times when I do, especially like silvery sheen type metal, I just kind of go with one of the gray color families with the Prismas, or you know, whatever pencils I'm using, and kind of use that to kind of figure it out. So I'm starting with 70% cool gray and just kind of going in with those dark shadowy areas. And just kind of creating a starting point. I'm going to start with the center of the scissors, or half the scissor, and just kind of start building that up a little bit. And then just going to the, well, I gotta sharpen it first because I broke it again. So I'm just taking the next step is the 50% cool gray after 70%, and going to add that in there. Okay, I think I got it. Having troubles. Sharpener malfunctions. And so I'm going to take the 50% cool gray and go over a little bit of that 70% just to kind of feather out the edges a little. And then 20% cool gray. I could probably do this with less gray colors and probably kind of just throwing everything but the kitchen sink at it, but I don't know, it's just how I like to do it, so. So I like to leave a little bit of the white showing. You kind of go over it a tiny bit, but that's pretty much looking good, I think. And then clear it off a little. And then just taking the white, I'm gonna go over the center where I left that kind of paper showing that was white. But I just want there to be, you know, a nice sheen to it, so I'm just kind of going over that with that white. Sorry. And I'm gonna go with the, oh man, that's 90% cool gray. I didn't mean to grab that one, but it's fine. It kind of shows that that's kind of like a, I'll probably make the vine kind of go up under that, but kind of like a darker shaded area. And so, yeah, I might take the 90% cool gray and do some outlining here. And then the 70%. I'm just kind of going along that, and then every once in a while going up all the way to the other line. Then I think I'm just gonna go in with the white. And of course, you know, I'm gonna go in with a color for the background, and that will sharpen up that edge there that kind of got lost as we were coloring. I wanted it to seem sharp, but hopefully it comes across as a sharp edge here. And then maybe go in with a little bit of 50%. A little bit, 20%. Eventually I just start shortening the names to the percentage they are. Okay, and then my white Prisma. Just kind of going over that. I think that's a good good work on the blade part. For, you know, we have like some nicer detailed work here that's kind of fun to work on. Just like kind of outlining the shape of it. I feel like it's been a good minute since I've done any kind of like metal coloring, so it's kind of fun to figure it all out again. I think this is probably where I'm going to stop this video. I think the first video I did with working on my first page in whatever book it was, I think the first one was Shooting Star, it was easier to have just one video because it wasn't as, I guess, big. It was a little bit of a smaller image, so it was a bit easier to work on that. But this one's a little bit more, got a little bit more going on, so I'm probably going to make this the part 1. I don't know what I'm going to call it. I feel like it's kind of silly to say episode 1, but yeah, I think I'm just going to say part 1 of this, and hopefully I won't have any more than 2 parts, at most 3, I'm thinking. But I do like showing the process, just sitting down coloring. It's not, you know, a hardcore like color along, so I just feel like it's a bit more relaxed, kind of just playing with the colors and starting something new in a book that I don't have a finished page in. So yeah, I think this is going to be part 1, and you know, so there will be more than one video. And you know, I'm really enjoying this page. I really love how the mouse turned out. I think, you know, probably all I did in this coloring page was working on the mouse, but you know, this is going to be a big project here. I'm not too worried about like the flowers and stuff, but anyway, yeah, I'm rambling a little bit, so until the next video, thank y'all, bye.